Hey guys, how's it going? My name's Ross. I'm a photographer and video maker from Northern Ireland. Welcome to my YouTube channel. If you don't already know, Fujifilm's popularity has recently exploded, and a huge factor for this is their ability to achieve great looking JPEGs straight out of the camera without the need for an editing software like Lightroom. Basically how it works is inside the Fujifilm camera bodies there are like a bunch of settings that you can change, you can save, and you can shoot with. In theory, editing your photograph before it's even taken. This method of shooting can feel very much like film photography, and I think that's a reason why a lot of people are flocking to Fujifilm cameras. You know, like getting your film stock and loading it into your camera, choosing your settings, and then you take the photograph and what you get is what you get. The beauty, however, with these cameras is that you can choose to shoot JPEGs and RAW files at the same time, essentially giving yourself a raw backup of your image if you feel like the settings weren't quite right in the camera the first time around. Fujifilm recipes have become so powerful that some professional photographers out there have decided to quit shooting raw images altogether and are shooting JPEGs only for their professional clients. There are so many great resources out there for finding Fujifilm recipes, and using other people's recipes is a great way to get familiar with the settings and familiar with what's possible with a recipe. Ultimately, however, I feel like you can get the best results and have the most fun by creating your own recipes from scratch. This might sound scary or overwhelming to some people, but honestly, by designing your own recipes, I know that you can get to know your camera better and get results that you are ultimately happier with. So for those people who are wanting to design their own recipes, I have a few tips. I'm no expert, but these are just a few things that have worked for me. So tip 1. My first tip is to grab your Fujifilm camera and head out for a full day of shooting raw images at dynamic range 400 in a variety of settings. After being out shooting for a full day, come home, plug your camera into your computer and open up Fujifilm X-RAW Studio, load up the raw images and start changing the settings. You can change things like the film simulation, you can start pushing and pulling the highlights, change the dynamic range, drop it down from 400 to 100 or 200. You can add some clarity, you can add some grain, you can sharpen your image, you can soften your image. Whatever you want to do, just play about and see what works. When you finally land on an image that looks good, you can copy and paste the conversion profile across to the next image and start tweaking all the settings on it too until it also looks good. You'll find you very quickly start to see what looks good in your eyes, even if you don't really know what you're doing. Once you get a look you're happy with in Fuji X-RAW Studio, you can hit Save Conversion Profile and that'll save all the settings you've just changed directly onto your camera. And boom, you've just created your first Fujifilm recipe. My second tip is always to spend a good amount of time researching, testing, and experimenting with the built-in film simulations that come on the Fujifilm cameras, as these are the base to all recipes that exist out there. Each film simulation has its own look and feel, so it's super helpful to know which film simulation works in which scenario. For example, I use Classic Chrome for coastal scenes, I use Classic Negative for sunsets and sunrises, I use Nostalgic Negative for forests and greenery, I use Prewett and ASDA for giving me a pop of colour, say in like city shots or something like that. I use Pro Neg High for skin tones and usually use Acros for black and white. When I got back into Fujifilm there, honestly I was a complete sucker for using Classic Chrome for like almost everything. But the more experience I've got creating my own recipes, the more I've realised that all the film simulations that are on the cameras have their strengths and weaknesses. So tip 3 is to understand the relationship that exists between dynamic range, highlights, clarity, and exposure compensation. You may or may not know that each of these settings affects the other, so it's super important to take into consideration the situation that you're shooting in when changing these settings. A great way, again, to understand these settings is by shooting raw images at dynamic range 400 and then bringing them into Fujifilm X-RAW Studio and start playing about and seeing what works and seeing how they affect each other and what looks good for you. If you don't have a computer or for whatever reason you don't fancy getting Fujifilm X-RAW Studio, another method that I found kind of works is by holding up your camera and just physically changing the settings on the back of your camera when you're in the situation. My fourth and final tip is a really simple one. It's just to shoot, and keep on shooting. Change your settings as you go, adapt, make notes, save your recipes, send them to your friends, test them out, and soon you'll develop a set of sick looking recipes of your own. And let me tell you, it'll feel so good when you do. I firmly believe that things like grain size, noise reduction, sharpness, white balance are all just down to personal taste. So if you think it looks good, then you know what? It looks good. So there you go, there's a few tips for you if you're interested in creating your own Fujifilm recipes. These are just a few things that worked for me, and hopefully some of you out there find them helpful as well. Literally just today, like the day I'm making this video, I've launched my website, and on there is a whole bunch of recipes that I've created over the last wee while. Recipes that I use regularly, that I'm really happy with, really proud of. If you fancy it, you can head to my new website and check out some of those recipes, and maybe even load those recipes into your own Fujifilm camera and shoot some JPEGs with them. If anyone actually does end up doing that, I would love to see the results, so please share them with me. I'm constantly coming up with new ideas for recipes and testing those recipes out, so the next time I come up with one that I'm really happy with, I'll be posting it directly to the website in the future. So there we go, I think that's us for today. Thank you so much for watching, if you still are watching. Wherever you are in the world, I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you in another video soon. Thanks.